Hello, gorgeous. Welcome to HG Radio, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration. Here is your co-founder and host, Kim Becker.
Hello, gorgeous. You are listening to Hello, Gorgeous, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration on Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. I'm your host, Kim Becker, once a hairdresser and a salon owner, now the founder of a nonprofit organization that coaches and trains women with cancer to help them smile when they look in the mirror. And if you ask me, I'll tell you, I have the best job in the whole world. This episode is brought to you by Amplified Marketing Group. They specialize in affordable mobile solutions that will get you noticed and help you retain customers. Check them out at www.amplified.marketing. Our guest today is Sarah Johnson. Sarah is a native of Dallas, Texas. She's a mom and a role model to her just 5 children. Sarah is a graduate of Southwestern Assemblies of God University with a master's in biblical and theological studies. Sarah is forever grateful for every opportunity to serve as a role model for God's goodness, grace, mercy, love, strength, and healing. Sarah knows what it is like to face disappointments, setbacks, trials. Therefore, her mission is to encourage and help others know that they too can overcome the giants that they face. She is a true overcomer. In 2014, she battled throat cancer, endured the death of her marriage and the death of her father within 5 months of each other. Sarah is living proof that God does make good on his promises. Sarah is the author of Survivor Once, Survivor for Life, Overcomer of Cancer, Death of a Marriage, Death of a Parent. Sarah is an overcomer of growing up with disabled parents, cancer, divorce, and the death of a parent. Many have overcome some of these same situations. However, this book is a sigh of relief for anyone who feels hopeless and helpless. More than a memoir, Sarah exposes her vulnerabilities and shares her scars so that you too will know that pain has purpose. Life is not always fair. No one is given the opportunity to deny the lemons that are given to them. However, lemonade is always good, regardless of the hand that it comes from. Ooh, I like that. If you feel as if that you are at your wit's end and life has given you more than your fair share of sorrow, this book will empower you to rise above it all with passion, pursuit, and purpose. Sarah is living proof that God specializes in using the broken. In every chapter, you can feel Sarah cheering you on. Remember this one thing. You survived that, so you can handle this. Oh my gosh. What an amazing, incredible, inspiring bio. I don't even know that I need to talk to you. My goodness, you told me everything I need to know right there. I am encouraged just by reading your bio. So I am so grateful that you are here. And I know that you're studying for a big test in this of your busy schedule to come and talk with me today. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you being here.
You are more than welcome, Kim, and I'm glad to be here as well.
So tell me a little bit about like I said, I'm inspired. I'm going to get this book as soon as we get off the air today. So how did cancer touches so many people. I know in 2019, like 800,000 women were diagnosed with cancer. And of course, breast cancer seems to be so prevalent in women because it's, what women have, but yours was throat cancer. So tell me about your cancer journey. How did you find out that you had cancer?
Well, to begin, at the time I was working from home and I was, logging onto my computer to work. I've never had cancer. And so every sentence that I tried to say, every 2 or 3 words, I began breathing as if I was having an asthma attack. And so I knew then that something was wrong. And so from that out of the norm experience, led to me going to the doctor, going to my primary care doctor. From there, seeing an ear, nose, and throat specialist. He had did an exam of my vocal cords the previous year, and so he compared. He didn't see anything out of the norm, but it was different. He decided to do a biopsy, and the biopsy confirmed that it was the beginning stages of cancer, so it was not what I was expecting at all.
Wow. And so from the time of diagnosis to when you started treatment, what was that timeline like, and what type of treatment did you have to endure?
I opted for 6 weeks of radiation. So at the time of the biopsy diagnosis or finding, it was about maybe 2 to 3 weeks before treatment actually started. And during that time, we were waiting for my insurance to approve the treatment.
And, people don't understand that 2 to 3 week period of time feels like an eternity. It doesn't seem like, now looking back, maybe that didn't seem like a long time, but those 2 to 3 weeks when you are waiting and you know that something's going on and you want to get at it to get it fixed as fast as you can, that time is just, it feels like forever. It just doesn't feel like it can come soon enough. As horrible as it is, nobody looks forward to radiation, but I'm sure you wanted to do anything you could just to get rid of this as fast as you could.
Yes, and at the time I was, going through a divorce. I was going through a divorce at the time, and so I didn't really have time to, fast forward. So I was able to not enjoy, but I was able to endure the moment that I was in. And so as a single mom, working from home, and so I enjoyed the 2 to 3 months. I enjoyed the time of rest. And so it was a period that I had to rest. It was a lot to take, to embrace, being a single mom, getting the news that, the findings of a biopsy confirmed that it was cancer. And, the main thing that was in front of me were my kids. Like, how am I going to take care of my kids, and I didn't really have time to think about anything other than that or after treatment. My main focus were my children. So
then let me clarify. Had you been going through the divorce and then the cancer diagnosis came, or you were diagnosed with cancer and then you went through the divorce? How did that go down timeline-wise?
I was diagnosed with cancer, and 3 days before I was to start treatment, I received divorce papers.
Oh my gosh!
And so there was really not a lot of time to process. I mean, I literally had to process it as it came to me, literally.
There are days like that when God serves me with stuff like that, and I think, there's the saying that he doesn't give you any more than he thinks you can handle. And I'm like, okay, God, listen, I am really not as strong as you think I am. I am, holy cow. And, and people don't understand what that's like. So yes, you're right. Your focus is your children. And here you are, you're going through this and you're supporting them, but who's supporting you? And I'm sure that you had a support, but you didn't have your person at that point in time. And that makes a difference. I mean, kudos to you for going through everything that you did, because you're here to tell the story. And there are some women that, they just give up and they don't fight to get on the other side of that. So it's a hard one, and it's amazing that you are where you are and that you've done as much as you have.
Yes, I remember, I did have a cousin, that was a huge help. She would, I would take her my meats, and she would prepare my meats in advance so that all I had to do was just put it in the oven and warm it up and add veggies to it. I drove myself to most of all of my appointments, to the radiation treatments. I did have a couple of visits. There were some visits that some people were able to take me to. They were not many, but for the most part, I drove myself to my appointments under the influence of Ativan, because I didn't realize that I was claustrophobic. And when I went in for treatment, I had to lay down on the table while they put a plastic mask over me just to make sure that the radiation was going into the exact place that it needed to go. And so as I went to my appointments, because I did have the support, I went in, and I'm a Mary Kay beauty consultant, and so I was so determined not to look as if I was going through the things that I was going through. So I overcompensated on my appearance. And so, I made sure that my hair was like intact, makeup was intact, because I knew as long as I felt good, as long as I looked good, it was going to help in me feeling good about myself. But there was one day I remember I walked into the office for treatment, and it was as if none of that mattered. And I realized that I did not have support as the other patients. And I wanted to cry, but I did. And I just had to, I had to be strong for myself, And so there were not a lot of times that I allowed myself to cry.
Mm-hmm. And it's tough because I don't know about you, but I found when I went through my cancer battle, I lost my husband 3.5 years ago, and then a year ago I was diagnosed with a colon. It's a neuroendocrine cancer, but they found it in my colon. And so here it was, same thing, solo parenting now, this child of mine, and if I was okay, he was okay. So I just had to make sure that he saw me okay. So I would cry in the shower because he wasn't ever in the shower with me, of course. And so, that's when I allowed myself that release just to be able to cry and feel sorry for myself. And as soon as the water went off and and the towel came out, everything changed. The attitude had to come back. The smile had to go on my face. But at least being able to have that little bit, when you would cry, just to get that out a little bit, I think it helped to me, to process everything. And I understand what you're saying. You focus on the child in front of you. You focus on those children, and that's your why. That's why we did all the things that we did to make sure that we could just, to be there for them.
Exactly. And I want to clarify, I don't want to give the appearance that I did not cry. I did cry. But as you stated, I did not cry in front of my children. Mm-hmm. When I was at the doctor's office, and he, gave me the news that it was cancer, I wanted to cry, but I couldn't cry at that moment because I knew that I had to get all the facts so that I could make an informed decision,
That's right.
And so after that office visit, I went in the bathroom and I cried. Mm-hmm. And I cried and I cried and I cried, and so I wasn't prepared. I drove back to the doctor's office by myself because I'm not thinking that I'm going to get a diagnosis that, the biopsy confirms that it's cancer, And so the tears never stopped flowing because I wanted to get all the cry out in the bathroom, but I couldn't. And so I cried. I just kept crying. I cried in the car. I cried home. And before I got to the house, I had to suck it up. Mm-hmm. I had to suck it up real quick.
Amen.
I had to suck it up real quick because as long as my kids saw me happy and smiling, then to them everything was okay.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. So tell me, how has your life been since the initial cancer diagnosis?
Oh, wow. Things have changed. At the time I eventually lost my job. I did lose my job because of the, they wanted me to return to work sooner. And I couldn't because I was still under the doctor's care. I did have cancer on my right vocal cord. And so, which is the reason, that you hear the hoarseness in the sound of my voice. My ear, nose, and throat doctor advised that I do not work, talking on the phone. If it's going to require me to talk 8 hours a day, more than 5 days a week, not, to stay away from it. Mm-hmm. And so that has